Support comes from Marina Cafe in Wilmington Shores, California. It's Shifted Perspective on Sociology of Cars podcast. I'm your host, Shift. In this new season, my goal is to bring you other professionals that also live and breathe the automotive and racing industries. Through real conversations, we'll highlight diverse career paths, insider knowledge, and the mindset required to succeed. Today, I have Jeffrey Willerth. Oh my gosh, I messed that up. I'm so sorry. But
we go with it.
Jeffrey
Willerth.
I was close.
Yeah, you were.
You are the vice president of Z Club of America.
That's correct.
And we're going to dive deeper into, how that came to be, the passion behind it, the idea behind it. We'll get into some of the sociological aspects, but mainly just, what it's all about. But we'll start with you, Jeffrey. Tell the audience something about yourself that most people probably wouldn't know.
That's a long list. Okay, let's start at the very, very beginning. I have no clue how motorsports got into my veins.
Oh.
But that venom is there, and it has not ever gone away. So, but what I mean by that is that it wasn't like family members, my dad, uncle, cousin, like the people around me, they weren't car nuts, not hardly at all. Car was sort of like how you get to and from work. That was it for them, and for me at the youngest age, I just loved the idea that there were race cars, that they could go fast, that you could drive them like that. It was so amazing. And there was one moment, again, still don't recall exactly how old I was, but pretty darn young. Still the kind of kid that was stuck in the back seat, not allowed to be in the front seat.
Yeah.
And I did have my grandfather that an uncle that said, "Hey, would you like to go to the drag strip?" And I was like, I'm pretty sure I cursed even at that young age. I was like, hell yes. And so I got to go to the drag strip for the first time, and that was just mind-blowing. But it was the ride home that I couldn't understand why my grandfather wasn't driving faster. Like, we just saw fast cars. Why can't we? Why are these other cars on the highway going faster than you, Grandpa?
Right.
So that's like the earliest memories I have of how I got into and still to this day have motorsports all about me.
Wow. And if I could ask, so with motorsports, did you know that you wanted to create a community?
No, I wanted to be part of a community.
Okay.
I think is more, So the next big step in the development was that I cannot recall how I got this, but Mario Andretti published a little booklet. It was not even a hardcover. It was a little soft paper cover. I can picture it in my head. I don't remember even the name of the book. Oh, I do. It was called, I think it was called The Racing Line.
Yes.
Something to that, maybe, but something like that. And it was just a small pamphlet. Maybe it was 10 pages long or something like that. It was like a little bitty magazine. And I don't even know how I got my hands on it. But again, at a very young age, maybe 7, 8 years old, maybe, I'm learning about the racing line from Mario Andretti in his book. Wow. And so I would sit on my bed, put the pillows behind me, so I was sort of sitting up in a posture that a race car driver would be in. Right. I took the covers and blankets and I would roll them up and then create little indents with my feet, so I had a gas and a brake and a clutch. And I would just sit there and push my blankets around.
Yeah.
Trying to understand, I just kept practicing that over and over and over and over and over and over. Wow. And I just, and still resonates with me, So I hadn't even, so anyway, it's just, I appreciate you guys asking me these things, because it's minutia that's tucked away somewhere very deep in my skull, and there's not much skull left.
I think there's plenty.
Thank you.
Now, do you own a Z yourself?
No. I own 3.
Okay, you've owned 3.
I have 3 Zs with me right now. And none of them are street legal. They are all race cars. It was just 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago that I picked up the last one that I have just brought onto the property.
Oh, okay.
And it's that is the 8th S30Z that I have owned in my lifetime.
8 total. Okay.
8 total.
Wow.
And so so 6, 7, and 8 are now in my garage.
And they're all the same.
They're all one's a 240, a 72 240.
Okay.
The other one is a early 74 260, and then the third one is a 71 240.
Nice.
Yeah,
Datsuns. I love that.
Fully caged, race ready, but not. I'm no longer competitive. I don't want to be. I've had my time, enjoyed every minute of it, and happy to now just to have the opportunity just to go track.
Right.
I don't need to be competitive anymore. I sure don't need to be the guy that's trying to make that last second dive into turn one. It's like been there, done that.
Right.
And never really crashed big time.
Okay.
So it's like, no, I just like the art of driving. I really, really do.
Nice. And the 3, are they each configured differently? Is that why? It's a silly question, but why 3?
Because I have a problem and the doctors haven't found a solution for me yet.
I love that. Yeah, we have to feed our addiction.
Yeah, it's no. There's one is a full GT2 that was built at SCCA rules and regs back in the mid '80s.
Okay.
The 260Z is one I built from ground up. I've had that car for 35 years or something like that.
Wow.
And then this newest one, I'm not allowed to talk about it very much because it's a super cool project that I'll reveal later. But
okay, fair enough.
It's a full SCCA GT2 cage, really serious, nice,
wow,
cool stuff. And I was able to get it at an incredible opportunity. So jumped on that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Z Club of America. Maybe tell people more about what that is.
Absolutely.
Where it began.
So Z Club of America, founded in 1971 by a gentleman named Joe Casella. Joe is still with us and still very active. He's the one that created the Z Club of America. He was the first one who was really, at least, he would have been among the same caliber as, let's say, Pete Brock or Bob Sharp. Back in those days when you could come home with a Z that it only cost you a few grand to own,
right?
Had all kinds of spunky existence and fun to drive.
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, how can we make more out of that? So Joe was way into, I think, again, this is prior to me even being a part of it, but I kind of think that was the time when Coney and KYB, they were smart enough to start making replacement shocks for those cars and some changes to springs and coils and things like that. So those were like the first steps that motivated the idea. After Joe did it to his car after he did his car, then he helped a friend do another one and that sort of, and then all of a sudden it all kind of clicked. And it was like, we should have a club. Mm-hmm. And we should take that club to the track.
Yes.
And so this all happened in northern New Jersey. Joe wound up getting his club going, and he took it to Lime Rock Park for their first session. And it was a winter time. It was like early. There was snow on the ground and all stuff like that. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But here's the part that's important in the whole legacy. Is on that very first day that we were all at the track, and I was not part of the we, is that Joe had painted a sign that he hung up, or it was leaning up against the fence that you drive in to get to Lime Rock Park, inside the park, and it just said, Z Owners Unite, Z Club of America on the bottom.
Oh, I like that.
That has become our motto, and that is the core of why I am involved in the Z Club and what my single core mission statement is. Mm-hmm. So that's what Z Club does. We bring the Z community together. We're not trying to say, only people who are purists and want their cars to be, factory spec perfect, not racers, not, just it's about us as humans. I don't really even care what your car is.
Right.
I don't. I want to make sure you're having fun, that you appreciate that you're in a Z, that you own one. You're going to get one. You're going to get a bunch of them, whatever your level of ailment is. Right. It's like, let it just keep happening.
Yeah.
And trying to bring folks together for the social aspect of it.
Right. And that's, one of the parts that was really intriguing to me about this. At which point did you join?
So I think I joined about 1983.
83, okay.
And this happened, if I may. The quick story is, so I already explained that I already had this racing problem.
Yes.
And so I was quite convinced that I was going to be a great race car driver. And all I needed to do was go to the track and get somebody to give me a car.
Sounds simple.
So does not work that way. So I started spending a lot of time going to races and just trying to convince people that they could give me a chance. I would not let them down, that I had been studying it since I was a little kid, but I hadn't really done anything. The first race I was ever in, I think, excuse me, I was, I had 16 and a half years old in New Jersey. Wow. That's when you could get your student permit driver's license. You had to go like 6 months with an adult in the car or something like that.
Right.
So I got my permit on a Wednesday afternoon after high school. And that Friday night, I took my car to the drag strip and started drag racing right away. And I fully admit that my first run, I red lighted. I'm just getting that out. Like everybody else, I red lighted on the first one.
Now, which car was this?
This was a 1963 Chevy Bel Air wagon.
Wow.
That I bought at age 15 and started rebuilding. And I bought it because those cars, 63, they were a 3-speed transmission that was on the column. And whoever I was buying the car from, they had already taken the shifter off the column and put her shifter on the floor. And I was like, okay, that's as race car as I need to have,
right.
Like that. I am totally ready. So then I tricked it out, and it turned out to be a really, really cool car. And so that's what I went and raced with at first.
Nice.
But that just gave me the impetus that it was like, yes, I am doing this. Yes, keep doing this. This is how you're going to get there.
Right.
So fast forward into, a few years into this, and I'm just knocking on doors, just trying to get anybody to give me a chance. I sure didn't have the money that I was going to pull it off myself. Yeah. And I failed. No one ever really wanted to pick me up, and so that's sort of the way I got in it and got started. So then I finally come to the realization, okay, money is the way this game is played. You're going to have to figure this out. If nobody's going to give you the money, you're going to have to make the money yourself. Shorter story shorter, I decided to open my own trucking company, a courier service that served the New York metro area. I was in New Jersey. And so got that business going, and after a year or two, was finally doing okay, and we were stable, and it was actually working, and the company was growing. And I had a team of people and a fleet of cars and trucks and vans. But I remember being out doing a delivery myself, driving through Clifton, New Jersey. And as I'm coming down the road, here's this older car dealership. And the parking lot was filled with S30s. And the building said Z Center on it.
Wow.
And in the showroom window was a race car, a Z race car. I lost my... I just like...
That's awesome.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I went inside. I was like, what is this place? What are you guys doing here? What is this race car? I got to be a part of this. Who are you? Yeah. So it worked out great. That was the beginning of my relationship with Joe Casella. Oh. He then told me about the Z Club. I immediately bought a Z from him and started going to these track sessions at Lime Rock and Watkins Glen and Pocono and Bridgehampton Raceway, and we just, and so I was all in, and so Joe became my driving mentor that really helped me start to understand more about what cars really can do when you take them to 10/10ths of their capabilities.
Yeah. That's great. It's that's usually what it takes. You have to find the right groups of individuals that are willing to take you under their wing.
Yeah.
Especially, not all of us come from money, so we have to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Now, we'll fast forward a little bit. Community's growing, right? And you can see that, obviously the shift from Datsun to Nissan happened.
Yeah.
At what point? Quick story for me, what I recognized in the Z, the first time I've ever seen a Z, 7 or 8 years old, riding my bicycle down the street. I'm living in Burbank, California, and one of my neighbors is walking to his car, and I just see this. It's black on black, and it's a 2x2, 300 ZX twin turbo. That's all I saw from the rear, and I'm like, what is this car? And that's what got me hooked. But I also realized that there's different generations, right? So you have the old Datsun Z guys, and then there's this 90s era of Z car. And then when they refresh it again, and obviously, for those of you who don't know, Nissan went through its trials and tribulations, but they went through hurdles, right?
Yeah.
Financial hurdles. So when they restarted again, they picked up with the Z car. They started the GTR. That's the 2000 era. But so my question to you is, Jeff, when you're seeing all these, obviously, Z Club now, different demographics, different individuals, different ages,
Different cars.
How were you guys able to bring the community together despite all the differences?
Great question. So what really happened to the Z Club of America was, by the time that the era that you're speaking of, when the 300s came in, and then the ZX came in, and then the Z32s, like those cars, and I'm using my words, not anybody else's. My words are, those Z owners were not buying the Z because they were looking for performance. They were looking for a cool looking car that was cushy and comfy inside.
Interesting. Like a Grand Touring.
Yeah, I think so. And so as a result of that, we started to see less and less and less Zs coming out to our Z car events, to the point that it finally was like, okay, this is becoming a financial challenge for us to rent the racetrack and to try to put on an event, and there's not a lot of cars coming. We would be well advised to go ahead and invite Cobra clubs, Corvette clubs, these other groups to help finance it.
Right.
That continued for a while until finally Joe and I kind of had that moment where we said, man, I got a Z and you got a Z, and everybody else that's out there on the track aren't Zs. So we thought, let's not kid it. Why call it Z Club of America? Driver. What did we just call it? I think we just called them driver education programs. Okay. I think there's something. It was what we called it then. And the phrase track days, that didn't even exist back then. That wasn't a thing. So anyway, but that just led us to say, okay, so let's rename ourselves so that we're able to attract. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, but we're going to attract more people. And so that's how that came. We changed the name to the Performance Drivers Association.
Oh, interesting.
And then that ran probably through the later 80s and into the 2000s. But by the time you get to the 2000s, now it's really getting sparse. It was really like becoming an issue.
Yeah.
And then a blessing came down for Joe, that an opportunity to create the first chapter of NASA racing happened. So Joe runs the NASA Northeast Division, and he has since NASA's inception. And it is the most successful and raises the most money and has the biggest amount of events and all that sort of stuff. He continues to just thrive there today. As we speak, they are at Lime Rock Park today, having awesome. a great time and racing. So yeah, that's sort of those are the hiccups that came along as Nissan. I don't want to say let us down. They just went a different direction. They wanted to give people what they thought they would buy. And that was a nice, cushy, good-looking, sexy car.
Right.
End of story.
Yeah. Now, of today, with Z Club America, what are some hurdles that you encounter, and what are ways that you've found that help mitigate when you actually are bringing people together?
Okay. So I'll tell you, Schiff, that's really an ongoing conversation I'm having in my own skull. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we take the fast forward machine, we push it all the way up to COVID days when we're all sitting around twiddling thumbs. Mm-hmm. And what is there to do that's fresh and interesting? Oh, let's hang out on the internet all the time and see what's going on out there. So Jeffrey decides that the Z Club thing was starting to, well, I should say that COVID really forced me into retirement. So I was at a angry stage. I was angry about COVID. I was angry that I was kind of being forced into, I knew I'd retire someday, but I got forced into it because of the conditions and the situation. And it was like, even if this all went away tomorrow, it wouldn't be worth going back to I was a television producer for decades. And so I just was like, oh, no, I've had my time. That was great. Let's find the next chapter of your life and see what you want to do with it. And started to think about, you know what I really want to do when I grow up? I want to go back to being the kid I was when I was hanging out with Joe Casella and we were racing Zs. Yeah. That was friggin' fun. That's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
So that was the impetus for me to start analyzing the crap out of Z clubs, car clubs of all type off the internet. Mm-hmm. And I watched them disappear. I watched their memberships tumble. I watched many of them just close up and just stop being. Their websites are still, their Facebook pages and stuff are still there, dormant, and have been since 2020. And and so that sparked this whole, okay, so what is a Z club? What is a car club going to look like in a post-pandemic environment? Mm-hmm. Let's find out. And that's really the question I still ask myself to see where we're at. But I ultimately saw that there was growth opportunity if we didn't adhere to what had been the traditional Z Club. And the traditional Z Club was usually, you have to be a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and you're going to make all your members pay dues, and you're going to make them pay to go on cruises, and you're going to make them to, blah, 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 blah. And we're all going to get together at Denny's on a Thursday night and drink beers and talk shit about each other's car and, blah, 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 blah. So that structure was the opportunity that I saw to say, okay, let's not do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Let's just be free. We don't charge anybody to be in the club. It's a community. It's like, if you wanted to join in with the local YMCA pool, right. It's just like, hey, I want to put my name on the list, and can I come swim at your pool? Yeah, absolutely. That's really all Z Club is now, is just bring you together. But I circle back to Z Owners Unite. Everybody needs to be coming together. Share your thoughts, share your stories, share your happiness, your pain, just be with us. Yeah. So that's really the path that I have been taking. And I don't want to try to, first off, I'm not trying to not answer your question. Yeah. I don't have the answers yet. I am still working on what works and what doesn't. Right. Great example. So 2025 had the idea of doing Z car corrals at big race car events. So in that year, we did races at Watkins Glen and Mid-Ohio raceways. And it worked out great. We had good turnout for first times, very happy, very impressed. Everybody seemed to like it. It seemed like a good thing. And I was like, okay, here I am letting Z Owners Unite, get together, you go out and you'll watch other guys race. Mm-hmm. Learned a lesson. Nissan is not really a racing entity anymore. Yeah. I'm sending my people out to watch all the other brands have a good time. Yeah. So for 2026, I said, let's still do, if I can get you to go to an IMSA event, that's great. If I can get you to go to, some of the, but what I really did was I sort of changed the direction and made sure that I was going after more of the vintage car racing organizations. Because at least there, knuckleheads like me who have multiple Zs could go to the racetrack and you could watch, now you're watching at least Z's race.
Right.
Whether you're a 350 or a 370 at a NASA event, or you're an S30 guy and you're running in the true vintage old CP production per days, that sort of stuff. So that evolution is really kind of still germinating.
Yeah, that's fair. It's interesting because I'm seeing how Nissan has evolved, right? Because I think the 90s for most manufacturers were peak time, but even as they evolved into Z31, Z32, 33s, and then 34 now, and then I guess Z35 technically, right. It's the market has changed, right?
Yeah.
The people that drive these cars are different. For me, even, I have an 07 350Z, and that was my track car.
And I love you for that because we've been following each other for years now, and I I almost cried the day I saw that you were like, I got a GR, I'm going to run Toyota, and I was like, no, I lost the front.
I still have the Z.
I know, I love that.
To your point, when I met at 23, was ZCon.
At ZCon, yeah.
And for me, that was the first Z communal event I've ever been to.
Okay.
And so I think coming in as a new person, to me, that was great. It was a week long of events of stuff scheduled every day, right?
Yeah.
And, there's some politics involved. Everything wasn't perfect, and I understand that. But despite the frustrations that I heard from, Group Z that I'm a part of, I think they executed well to where people were still satisfied. But this is what I've noticed. So in today's culture, people love flash. People love wow, they want to see chaos. So drifting is obviously one of the things, but unfortunately, it takes to the streets and then you see takeovers happen. So unfortunately, there's a lot of Z and G cars out there, and they're a different group of people.
Yes, they are.
Just like the drift community is very different. When I got into track driving, I participated in Nissan Challenge. Nissan Challenge is different, but they're also very welcoming. So then I started to see these different spaces, and then all of them did show up to ZCon. And then you have the guys that are garage queens, hard parkers, everything and anything in between. And that's when I saw, okay, so if you unite showing everything and anything, that could possibly work. And then I saw a group or different types of Z groups come from different states, all over. And it was great to finally meet individuals that you would never thought. So, but with that said, it's hard even then to get people to understand what the Z was all about, where it actually came from. It's all about a race car. It's racing.
Performance.
It's performance oriented. Right. But, I think going towards the luxury side, I think adjusting to the community is the best we can do. But even with sociology of everything, we realize, sociology of cars is about the people. It's about the community.
Right.
And everyone is so different in the spaces that they occupy. But at the end of the day, people want to be heard and they want to be seen. And as long as you show empathy towards that, hey, I don't care if you're a newbie or if you've been doing it for decades, there's a safe space for you to exist and you can come hang out with us.
Yeah.
And that's the feeling that I got when I went to ZCon. Then I met you, Jeffrey, and Z Club of America. I really love the idea. And it's just, I think as time keeps evolving, we have to keep adjusting and adapting to it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm still chasing that feeling as well, just like you have been chasing it.
So we took the fundamental, I was bashing the old days of the way a club would be and trying to craft this new one. I realized that if I was just going to be this national brand that was truly only accessible through Instagram and Facebook, I was like, okay, well, I'm not serving the Z owners as well as I could. So what would be the solution? Okay, let's give them half of what they used to have, and half of what the new idea would be. So what that turns out to be is finding the right Z owners who are like you and I, super passionate about their cars, and love the idea of having a club and a community to be with. And let's compress those into the same package. And I've done that by creating additional chapters. So we have a chapter here in Southern California. We have a chapter in Las Vegas. We have a chapter in Dayton, Ohio. We have a chapter in Pompton Plains, New Jersey. We have one up in Danielson, Connecticut, and we have one in Orlando, Florida. And I'm still on the move to put the next ones together so that we can have that fine little balance of now, if you've got a chapter near you, there's your circle of friends that you can actually go physically talk to. You're not online anymore, but you found each other because you were online,
right,
through the national brand.
Yeah. And just so that people can understand more, if they want to find these events, is it Instagram, Facebook, or do you have a website as well?
Well, of course we have a website. My whole story. So you want to know more about the history. If I shortchanged you on how the Z Club came to be and its evolution, that's all on the website. You can listen to Joe Casella tell his side of the story because his is the truth. Well, it's not that I was lying. It was that this is his memories. This is what he created.
Right.
And it wasn't until we got back to COVID and I was going through this, iteration of like, what do we do? How do we do this? I wound up calling Joe one day and I just said, hey man, is that Z Club of America? Is that still a legal entity that, you still own? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, give it to me. Let me see what I can do. And he was like, hell yes, go for it. Because he knew that, I didn't mention this earlier, but so in my early racing days, after the trucking company, I sold the trucking company that I told you about. And I had already, while I still had the company and while we were making good money, I started to take classes at the Barber Racing School.
Nice.
Excellent way to learn. Extremely excellent. So worth every penny, which is a hard thing to say about anybody in auto racing. It's just the old adage of if you want to make $1 million in racing, start with $2 million.
Yeah.
So, I went to Skip after I sold the company. I'd already been going through their programs. I had been getting better and better. I loved Formula Ford cars. That was just a great way to learn. And so I went to their door. I had met enough of the guys and kind of, I wasn't a stranger. But I just told them, I said, I want to come work for you. I will sweep floors. And they said, okay. So I started sweeping floors, in the shop. Yeah. And then just boom, 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 boom. Next step. Next thing I know, I'm building motors for the Formula Fords, the 2000s. And then later I'm building chassis and complete cars. And then later I was, I just went up the ladder. But I also got to train. I got to teach. I was a test driver for them. After you build a car, then you got to go out and break it in. So I would get to go to the track and just have laps after lap after lap.
Nice.
The other blessing was that I rented a house that was right at the racetrack. I literally could go down my backyard, cut across the little pond. It was on a pond, a lake rather, and I was right at the downhill of Lime Rock Park.
Oh, it's ideal.
It's like, I don't ever want to leave here. And if I ever leave California, I'm going straight back there again. But anyway, so I became their marketing manager.
Okay.
And I had a sales team with me, and I just started pounding the pavements and finding people that were interested in racing. Come try this, come do it. Or they saw our ads in the magazines, or I created new ads. And, so I did that sort of thing. And I wound up being a marketing manager. I left Skip and came to California to be marketing manager for the Jim Hall Kart Racing School. Kart racing, oh my gosh, such an amazing tool to learn from.
Agreed.
You do not have the horsepower to make up for your boo-boos, so you learn to become incredibly smooth and careful and apply and utilize momentum to your advantage. All these really, really critical, important things that I already thought I was, Mr. Hotshot. I had... So from there, I think I went to Willwood Brakes. No, I went to Scott Drake. No, I'm sorry. After Jim Hall, I went to work for Steve Saleen, the Saleen Mustangs. Yes. Then from there, I went back to a place called Scott Drake Mustang Parts, and he made parts for the Mustang cars. And then from there, I went to Willwood, and I worked for Willwood Brakes for a while there too. And so, I just have that in my blood now that I've been, and that's what I still bring to this day, is how do I market this? How do I get the word out? Mm-hmm. Some folks argue that I'm a little dated in my methodologies. Go right ahead. I think it works for the Z Club of America because we are a 55-year-old club. Even if we took a break and changed names, that was just what we had to do. But throughout it all, the Z Club has never really gone away. Yeah. It's just always been available in a different name or brand or location.
Right. Now, Jeffrey, speaking of, you've been carrying the torch since Joe's essentially passed it on. Now, what are your ideas or plans for the future as far as prepping the next individual for passing the torch?
Yeah, really good question that I don't know if we have enough time or beer to get into, but I will say, I would say to you at this moment, in this time, on this day, that at least the momentum is there. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to have the realization that the Z Club of America cannot be a one-man band. It takes a village.
Yeah. And
so if anyone is inspired by this conversation alone, reach out to me, please. I will, the club can grow and do better here's the thing. The key to my success as a television producer, surround yourself with good, smart people that know what they're doing and let them do their jobs. And it works.
Yeah.
So I would like to apply that to the same situation. I don't need to do all the social. Somebody else can help me with that. I don't need to do all the wrangling at the events, boots on the ground. Somebody else can do that sort of stuff. It's like I can just easily see how this could grow. Yes. Now we make like no money at all. We have some products available on our website. And by the way, you all should stop by www.zclubofamerica.com and see some of the cool crap we have there and the legacies and the stories. And there's photos of owners and there's all kinds of resources for diagrams and things that you can use to fix your car.
Right. So are they able to find events? In their local area?
The events are in there. The Zo Club, the Z Car Corrals are on there. Yeah, all that stuff is on there. And I try to do my best. But yeah, I would rather have some webologist be my guy and do that work for me so that I can stay on the top of the bridge looking down and finding the partners that we need to work together.
Yes.
I have several partnerships that I am in communication with now that we're just really trying to figure out, look, you're Z or Z adjacent, and you do this, which is something we are not offering, but it would be great if we'd offered it. And they go, yeah, that's a wonderful idea. So how do we put those things together?
Yeah.
So it's been 5 hard years of doing it myself. And now it's like, okay, I got to come up with a good plan and the resources and the people to do the next 5 years.
Right, to expand. Yeah. That's great. And you already answered the next question I was asking but you can probably add more if you'd like, is what is next for you and Z Club of America?
So I don't want to throw it necessarily back into Nissan's face, but I'm going to. So it's like, okay, this Z35, Z36, what's coming down the pipe?
Yeah.
And are you guys truly aware that performance is what got you started? It is the core of who you are. That seems to have gone the wrong direction for way too long. And if you drive by any Nissan dealership, really, you're just seeing the same cars, slightly different sizes with a different name on them, but pretty much they're all the same little car, and they're just trying to sell by price point. It's like, if you can only afford a $25,000 car, here's yours. You want a $50,000 car, that's yours. You want, it's kind of that way right now.
Yeah.
But I got very excited in so when did those first new Zs come out? That was 23?
I believe
well,
that.
around that
It was
time.
around that time.
It gets hard for me because I was very excited. I went to a Nissan dealer and I said, "Oh, Nissan's coming out with a great new car. It's going to be a new Z, and we should work together." And they were like, "Yeah, let's work together." And then the cars didn't come.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe one guy got a car or another dealership got a car. And it was like the whole rollout was just a huge disappointment to me. I thought I was on top of the world, that I was like breathing life back into the Z Club of America, and then found out I had nothing to show them to make it even remotely interesting, because Nissan kind of failed us in that regard. But as we move forward here, if these next new versions, and especially like right away they had the GT3 versions of the car that they ran with SRO in the GT America series. And their first races at Sonoma, they were on position 1, position 2, and position 3. You know,
Nice.
like they were dominating. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a blessing of all time. Nissan racing again, finally, you know?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? If you go to an IMSA race now, you can't find any car that even has a Nissan part on it anymore. Up and through last year, the P3 cars, those they had Nissan products in their drivetrain. But this year, there's nothing, you know, IMSA is the greatest sports car racing organization there is, really globally. And there's just no home that says, "Hi, welcome to Nissan" here.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, Jeff, as we see the market trend shift, like there's obviously the EV push.
Yeah.
The hybrid push has been happening. If Nissan goes towards hybrid, do you
They
think
are. They've already made. They're past that. Now they're telling us, okay, our entire future is going to be AI. I'm like, oh God, what could possibly go wrong here?
Do you think that will kill the Z legacy?
Well, this is the question, you know, and it circles back to your last question, is like, can Nissan accept a performance product in their product line and make it work? Because there is a huge audience. It is the reason that you stepped out and bought a Toyota GR. Because why? When the stats came out for the new Nissan, the GR was there and it outperformed.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're not a guy who's terribly loyal one way or the other, you just want the best performing car, guess which one you're going to get? You're going to get the Toyota.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. You know, so that's where the boxing match is for them, for Nissan. It's like, who do you want to be when you grow up, and how are you going to get there? And have you considered going back to your original origins? Because that's what Nissan is about. You should, you want to be a great marketer? Come back with the Datsun line again. Call it the Datsun line. If you don't want to interfere with Nissan and your AI-generated future, fine. Then just start make a whole bunch of performance cars and put them under the Datsun name again.
Yeah. Kind of like GR is separate from Toyota.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Now, Jeffrey, you've mentioned, talked about a lot of great points. If anyone wants to find you, even want to support you and work with you, where can they find you?
Well, of course, the website has got everything on it. So, again, zclubofamerica.com. And from there, you can talk to me directly. I mean, people do all the time. I really, you know, when it comes to social, it's fun to sit there and kind of scroll through and see who's got the coolest pictures of the day, or, you know, whatever. You can just do that for endless. But somehow the thing that makes my ganglia twitch is when I get an email from someone, and I get multiple every day. You know, it's just some Z owner that's, I have this problem, I'm trying to sell this. Here's a picture of my son in the car. Here, you know, like some, you know, there are all kinds of stuff. And the first thing I want to do is talk to you directly. It's just like how you and I first met. You know, it's just, and the reason we're doing this right now, it's just be together, be a community. Z owners unite.
Yeah.
Not a hard concept.
Right.
That's what's important to me. And that'll never, so it really doesn't matter how fancy I get, what events we do, and what Nissan does or doesn't do for us. I'm not letting it go. You could get the message tomorrow that Nissan's going, oh, no, we're going to close up. We're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what? There's still a bunch of Nissan and Datsuns out there, and they're going to be around for a long time because we love those cars.
Right.
It's in our blood.
Yeah.
The doctors cannot help us.
It's with us permanently.
Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you so much for sharing everything that you've had.
Absolutely.
If I can end with anything, where would you, in a perfect world, if you can just snap your fingers and just change the world to make it better for the community and also just the Z community as well, what would you do and what would you change?
Driver training.
Like
driver training would be the thing to
like
do.
Performance driving.
Yeah, that's a great place to start, because then that's 100% applicable to what you're doing on the highway.
Yeah.
If you try to take people who are on the highway and their knowledge base and try to take it to performance, those two, that doesn't gel. That doesn't work. But you could become a better driver, which we need to do, whether your passion is, I actually want to be a race car driver when I grow up, or I just want to be a better driver. It would be driver training.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's on that topic of just driving. That's why we do this, right? I share that same. It resonates with me, that ideology of what got us into cars is because we want to drive them.
Yeah.
Even as a little kid, I started just obviously video games. I had a little. It was like a go-kart, but you had the pedal. So you pedal the front wheels, and for me, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And as we develop just communities in general, sociology of cars, and I meet, individuals like yourself, Jeffrey, and other organizers that are just keeping that vision alive. And I think that's what about just us staying together and uniting. And I'm learning that more and more because, when I first started, it was very much like a lonely driver, a loner. But as I got older with age and just been out there more, it's about the community.
Yeah,
100%. Shifted Perspective, produced by Sociology of Everything, supported by Marina Cafe in Wilmington Shores, California. I'm your host, Shift. Please feel free to reach out to me on social media, found in the description, or email me at shift@sociologyofeverything. Together, we shift perspective, expand possibilities, and become insiders. Thank you so much for listening, and see you guys next week.